Welcome to chapter 12 of the book of Proverbs. The way of righteousness leads to life. Righteousness leading to life. Right now, within a last hour, we had in the United States, southern state, 18 children shot and killed by a young man, putting them to death in a grade school. Things are getting really bad, and it seems like it's going all over the world. People are frustrated, angry, and I don't know what the future holds real soon, but it doesn't look very good. We have a war with Ukraine and with Russia and Ukraine, and murders going on, and different religions, people against each other, or other religions, the Muslims against the Jews, and so forth. It goes on and on. But life is what we want to have. Live a life for Christ. Not always possible. Sometimes lives are taken early, like these children. But I'll read some of the Greek, and then we'll go into this proverb. O agapon peidion agapa aesthesin. O de mison elenchus aphron. The one loving instruction loves perception, but the one detesting reproofs is a foolish one. Loving, agapon, we have it twice in this verse. Agapa, the one loving and love, the verb and the noun, I believe. Agape is mentioned pretty much 50-50 as far as the two testaments go. Half of the usage of 12 is in the Old and the other half in the New. In the New Testament, Jesus mentions in Matthew 6:24, no one is able to serve two masters, for the one he will detest and the other love, or the one he will hold to and the other he will disdain. You are not able to serve God and mammon. The loving instruction and the loving God is what Jesus is referring to, loving him. Once you love God, you'll detest these other things. And then he says, it says in 1 John 2:15 by the writer, do not love the world, nor the things in the world. If anyone should love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. The love, agape. Now there's also phileo, which is a friend, being a friend of the world, but this is not what it's talking about. It's talking about agape here in 1 John. And then there's erotic type of sexual type of a love, which is not talking about here also. And then John continues in in chapter 3:18 of his first epistle, my sons, we should not love in word nor tongue, but in work and truth. And loving people is so much better, no matter who they are. We just need to put on blinders to our prejudices and open ourselves up to the love of Christ for whoever comes across our path. Verse 2, better the one finding favor from God, from the Lord, but a man who is a lawbreaker shall be silenced. A man will not keep straight from out of a lawless deed, but the roots of the just ones shall not be lifted away. A courageous wife, now we have Andre, so as a wife, a courageous wife is a crown to her husband, but as the worm in wood, so an evil-doing wife destroys her husband. Now, it's interesting because here we have Silo, I was mentioning in the last chapter about dendron, a tree. And then I remember I was mentioning Silo in the not the imperative and the dative. Here it's a wood, but as the worm in wood, or could be tree, but I chose wood. Now, why wood here and not tree? Well, it talks about the Silo in Matthew 26:47, when the people from the high priest came to capture Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. They were carrying xilu, wooden spears. And then as he was going to the cross, he told the women that what would happen if this is what's happening now in the in the wet wood, what would happen in the dry? And he used the word xilu. And then in Acts 16:24, we have xilu stocks, wood stocks. Acts 5:30 says, "The Lord our fathers raised Jesus, whom you laid hands upon, having hanged upon a timber." So see, now all of these are not a tree with growing limbs and leaves. And then in Revelations 2:7, it says, "To the one overcoming, I will give to him to eat from but here it's a xilu, the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God." Does that mean it's not a tree? Why didn't they use the word dendron if it was a tree with the leaves? I don't know. But this is what the word is. And then in Revelation 22:2, it goes further about this tree of life. It says, "In the midst of her square and of the river from this side here and from that side there was a tree of life," xilu, of life, "producing 12 fruits, each by month rendering its fruits. And the leaves of the tree were for treatment of the nations." Verse 5, "The devices of just ones are true judgments, but impious ones devise treachery." So true judgments and treachery versus treachery. "The words of impious ones are deceitful for blood," want to hurt and harm. "But the mouth," I underline that, it should be in italics, "but the mouth of upright ones shall rescue them." If you're upright, your mouth will rescue you by saying the right thing at the right time. I believe God will impart words of wisdom that will go through you and to whoever is on the other side to hear. "Of whenever the impious one should be overturned, he vanishes, but houses of just ones remain." The idea of the impious losing everything and the just ones keeping it. "The mouth of the discerning is lauded by a man." If you're discerning, you're, "Oh, this is great. That guy really knows what's going on." "But the dull of heart is sneered at." Somebody dull at heart. Nothrokardios, the heart, dull of heart. "Better a man in dishonor serving to himself than one putting value on himself and feeling want of bread." So when a person in dishonor serving to himself, keeping it to himself, than one putting value on more or less his dishonor, and they'll feel a want of bread. That's the best I could come on that one. "A just one pities the lives of his cattle, but the feelings of compassion of the impious ones are unmerciful." And boy, you can go on internet, YouTube, and see all kinds of mistreatment of animals. Of course, the animals mistreat each other, kill each other, and eat each other. But when a human does it, it sort of takes on a different realm. You can actually go to jail in the United States for doing certain things to animals, which people do a lot of times through neglect. Other times, taking out their frustrations on a poor animal. But a just person pities the lives, cares about his cattle. Not so the impious. The one working his own ground, for a farmer, shall be filled up of breads. But the ones pursuing vain things are lacking of sense. Not only sense, they're lacking of food. He who is pleasure-bent in wine drinking, pastimes, shall leave behind dishonor in his own fortresses. Now, pleasure-bent in wine drinking. There's a lot in the Bible about wine. A lot of grapes were grown for turning it into wine. People drank wine. Mentions in Matthew 9:17, Jesus talks about this parable with the leather bags having wine in them, and you don't put new wine in old leather bags or they'll burst because they're opening up and bubbling. And then he says, then it says in Mark 15:23, and they gave to him, Jesus, while he was on the cross, wine mixed with myrrh to drink, but he did not take. And then in Luke 1:15, it talks about John the Immerser, the Baptist, and wine and liquor in no way shall he drink. It was told to his father, Zacharias, by the angel. The Good Samaritan poured wine on the man that was beaten by the robbers, in Luke 10:34. And Jesus turned the water into wine at the marriage at Cana, in John 2:3-10. And then Paul says, and be not intoxicated with wine in which is carnality, but be filled in the Spirit. And then he further talks about the elders not be given to much wine and so forth. But then in Revelations 14:10 it says, even he shall drink of the wine of the rage of God, being mixed undiluted in the cup of his wrath. So the wine it's talked of the rage of God from his cup, and that's also mentioned in Revelation 19:15. Then the wine of the harlotry of Babylon is mentioned in Revelation 14:8 and 10, and then in 17:2. Verse 12, the desires of the impious ones are evil things, but the roots of the pious, and I italicize this, are in fortresses. The pious people are protected. The fortress is God, I believe he's talking about here. Not so with the impious. Through a sin of the lips, a sinner falls into snares, lying, cheating, and saying things bad, false testimony, and so forth. Sins of the lips, gossip. But a just one flees from out of them, watches his tongue and what he says. From fruits of the mouth, a soul of a man shall be filled of good things, but a recompense of his lips shall be rendered to him. And we mentioned recompense depends on what he's saying. If it's good, then good things will happen. Bad things will be rendered to him. The ways of foolish ones are straight before them. But a wise one listens to advice. They're more or less a foolish person or precipitous, just head on, straight on down the road, doesn't care, do foolish things, but not a wise one listens. A foolish one daily publishes his anger, but an astute one hides his own dishonor. So this one publishes, everybody sees that he's a fool by getting mad and angry over nothing. But yet, an astute one, if he does get mad, he hides it. He does get angry, he hides it. A just one reports by displaying trust, but the witness of the unjust is deceitful. So being trustworthy or being deceitful. There are the ones speaking which pierce as a sword, but tongues of wise ones heal. And I would rather be the second, saying things that would heal people, help them get through the problems of the day, rather than saying things that hurt people. Watching our tongue, so important. Mouth, things that come through the mouth, the tongue, the lips. True lips straighten testimony. Now, your lips are your lips. You can't make them, they're not, this is a figure of speech again. But a quick witness has an unjust tongue. So true lips are straight, but an unjust person says anything he wants. Treachery is in the heart of one contriving evils, but the ones wanting peace shall be glad. Anything unjust shall not please the just one, but the impious one shall be filled with bad things. We, hopefully our just ones, don't want anything unjust. It doesn't please us. We don't like things that are unjust, that are bad. But the impious ones, they want things that are bad. Now, we're all impious at times and just at other times. Hopefully the balance scale is this way, where our just things are way down and the unjust are few, and when we get older, fewer and farther between. Verse 22, lying lips are an abomination to the Lord. Of course, another figure of speech. Lips don't lie, but a person does. But the one dealing in trust or belief is accepted by him, by the Lord. A discerning man is a throne of perception, like a king. But the heart of foolish ones shall meet with curses. People curse them. Or a person himself would be cursing, things are not going well for him, because he's fool. The hand of elect, the hand of chosen men shall prevail easily, but the deceitful will be for plunder. And so the idea of the chosen, somebody that's good, somebody that's chosen for good attributes, will prevail, but not so the deceitful. They'll be plundered. A fearful word disturbs the heart of a man, but a good message gladdens him. Yep, we like to hear the good messages, but we don't always. Like today, I heard that bad message. A friend will be a just arbitrator of himself, but the one sinning pursue evil things. So we have a friend, does the right things. This is what we want. And the way of the impious ones misleads them. The ones sinning are misled by other sinners. Mislead them, cause them to keep going the wrong way. The right way is God's way, and the Word of God is the best way to find out, the best roadmap in life. A deceitful man shall not succeed in hunting. Well, that's interesting. I have a friend, he's a hunter, been hunting all of his life. And now I don't think he's deceitful, but he does kill game and brings it and eats it and gives me some like deer jerky and so forth, turkey. And so now, if he wasn't capturing anything or killing anything, would he be a deceitful man? I don't think that you can use that formula. It's more or less saying that a person that's deceitful isn't going to succeed in a lot of things, more than just hunting, I believe. But a pure man is an esteemed possession. I want to have a friend that's pure. In the ways of righteousness is life, and that was the title. But the ways of the resentful are unto death. If you resent God, then that's not good. If you had planned certain things in your life, didn't go your way, you became resentful towards God and blamed him for not being able to go the way you wanted, or you had a person in your life that was very wonderful and they died, like these people that have children in this school, and you become resentful to God, well, it's not good, but people do. They blame God. Of course, a lot of them don't accept God during their life, but yet they can blame him when things get bad. But us believers, even if bad things come our way, we just know, we need to know that God is putting us to a test and allows for things to happen that are not good. He allowed Jesus to go to the cross. So if he has allowed that, then he can allow many bad, evil things to happen. But being resentful to God, even resentful to other people, I suppose, but depends. I can understand if being resentful to somebody that killed your child, but resentful towards God is not a good thing. Chapter 13, good instructions. All right, we can use good instructions. Find out what they are in the next video seminar. Hope you join us. Until then, God bless.